A very good morning, students. Students, in our last class, we analyzed that Mary and Henry Crawford demonstrate an almost total ignorance of the realities of rural life. Henry, who is an heir to an estate, fails to understand his properties and tenants. Simply put, the arrival of Crawfords is intended to highlight the clash between the traditional values found at Mansfield Park and the new ways of London life. While the patriarch, Sir Thomas, leaves the young people in the inept hands of Lady Bertram and Mrs. Norris, they become infected by the city dwellers' loose morals. And students, now we come to our today's discussion. Here we see that after a great deal of selfish haranguing, Mary Crawford finally has her harp delivered. And when we read the novel, we find that harp is Edmund's favorite instrument, and he feels strong feelings of love towards Mary. And the novelist writes, a young woman, pretty, lively, with a harp was enough to catch a man's heart. Here we see that Fanny is taken aback by Mary's selfish attitude, but as usual, she keeps her feelings to herself. Edmund arranges for Mary's ride on, on Fanny's horse so that he can accompany her and neglects Fanny, who must ride for her health. Fanny here too remains passive and keeps running errands for both her aunts. When she becomes ill, Edmund takes the older women to task and ensures that Fanny continues to ride. At Mansfield Park, plans are being made for the excursion to Southerton, Mr. Rushworth's estate, and it is decided that Fanny should stay at home to attend Lady Bertram. But the aunt declares that, oh no, I can't do without Fanny. Edmund insists, however, that he will stay with his mother so Fanny can have the rare opportunity of an outing. When Mrs. Grant volunteers to stay in his place, Fanny is allowed to go along with the group. And students, we see that in the carriage, Maria and Julia vie for the open seat next to Henry Crawford, and Julia wins out. So, on the excursion, the group goes outside to view the grounds and break into two groups. Henry Crawford, Mary Bertram, Mr. Rushworth, and Fanny make one group, and Edmund, Mary, and Julia Bertram, Mrs. Norris, and Mrs. Rushworth make up the another. Students, Fanny, as usual, is ignored by others, while Mary, we can see, attempts to talk Edmund out of his choice of profession. And she declares that a clergyman is nothing. So, shortly after the excursion to Southerton, a letter arrives informing the family that Sir Thomas will return in November. Maria here becomes agitated because she realizes that for her, the father brings a husband, as she will have to marry Rushworth when her father comes home. The rest of the group realizes that their father's return will put an end to their frivolity. Novelist here writes, November was a black month fixed for his return. And when Mr. Thomas returns, it has been decided that Edmund will take orders to become a clergyman. Mary continues to harangue Edmund about his choice of occupation, stating that clergymen are fat and lazy. She also makes disparaging remarks about her brother-in-law, Mr. Grant, in whose house she resides. And students, we see that Tom Bertram appears on the scene. Although Mary Crawford has been hoping to make a match with Tom, the older son and the heir to Mansfield Park, she finds that she likes Edmund far more. And students, we see that the improvements that are to be made at Rushworth Southerton Estate are a symbol of the encroachment of the new ways on the traditional country values. Mr. Rushworth and the Burtons seem content to change everything about the estate, even if it means knocking down buildings and cutting down avenues of trees. Fanny appreciates the natural feel of Southerton, while Maria, Mary, and Henry are eager to change the estate just before the sake of doing so. Meanwhile, the young group has courtship on their mind. Maria, who is marrying Rushworth solely for his fortune, is attracted to Henry Crawford to the dismay of her unattached sister, Julia. Edmund has fallen into the clutches of Mary Crawford and sets his own values aside in an effort to win her attraction. Fanny doesn't realizes that the love she feels for her Edmund goes beyond brotherly affection, and that the negative feelings she has towards Mary Crawford are in part based on jealousy. While readers might become frustrated with Fanny's passivity, it is important to remember that any action on her part could mean her removal from Mansfield Park. Here we can see that she has absolutely no power. Here, Jane Austen also refers to and perhaps pokes fun at social construct of outing. Before making their social debut or coming out, young girls were expected to act modestly, keep quiet, and remain more or less invisible. Depending upon the family, girls of high social rank came out during their mid teenage years, at which point they were considered marriage prospects were, and were permitted to socially engage with members of um, opposite sex and began attending balls. Although Fanny is chronologically beyond the years during which a young lady traditionally came out, she has never been formally debuted in society and is thus considered knocked out. Southerton brings to the light the improvements trend that was the characteristic of this era. More modern, forward looking people went to tear down the old or change it to suit their own tastes, while the more traditional conservative wanted to maintain the status quo. The chapel scene at Southerton brings this conflict to light. The conservative Fanny wants to see a more traditional chapel with aisles and arches. The practical Edmund maintains that such architectural elements are not necessary in a private chapel, and the city dwelling Mary Crawford doesn't at all seem interested in aesthetics. Indeed, she doesn't even see the point in having a chapel at all. The grounds at Southerton, which Mr. Rushworth is interested in improving, symbolize man's continual battle with nature. Although it contains a wilderness, the area has been artificially created. This pseudo wilderness is the setting for the action that ensues, providing the ideal locale for Edmund and Mary to be alone. It is unclear whether they purposefully abandon Fanny so that they can be alone. Similarly, breaching the locked gate in the natural setting allows Henry and Mary to enjoy some privacy. Although there are very different types of people. Edmund is blinded by Mary's beauty. Mary is clearly an unsuitable match for Edmund. She has the audacity to denigrate the career to which he aspires and tells him that she should go into law, an occupation he detests instead. Mary is rude and hurtful at every opportunity, yet Edmund continues to be drawn to her. The meekly passive Fanny is distressed by Edmund's attraction to Mary. She realizes that he is the ideal man for her because they were they have similar sensibilities. For instance, Edmund and Fanny are both um, have a mutual appreciation for uh, tranquility and beauty of the estate. However, Fanny's frustration Fanny's frustration, Edmund drawback is drawn back to Mary and the group of singers. Some scholars have argued that Edmund, like Henry, uses Mary to make Fanny jealous, but there is little evidence in the text itself to support this premise. The heir to Mansfield Park, Tom Burton, is a selfish boo who, when juxtaposed with the sensible Edmund, is revealed as severely wanting. Austen uses the character of Tom Burton to illustrate the evils of primogeniture, the social system that designates the firstborn son as the sole heir to his parents' estate. It is the oldest son who benefits, regardless of how much he may be lacking in character or morals. Students, here Austin also illustrates how Bartum used Fanny without consideration of her feelings. For example, Edmund's concern for Fanny's health, which contrasts sharply with Tom's complete disregard for Fanny at the ball. Not once does it enter Tom's mind that Fanny might like to be asked to dance at her very first ball. He is only concerned with his own comfort, and when he realizes that he might be stuck for the evening playing cards with the older people, he uses Fanny as a prop to support his own desires. So, students, this much for today. We will continue with the novel in our next lecture. Thank you very much.